big customers of connectivity at an Olympics. They batched up like, okay, all the visitors and athletes are sending photos to Instagram, Wi-Fi. Carry on with the list. Who are the big customers and groups?
Media, right, is huge. So obviously, these guys are taking pictures. Like everything's got to go out on the spot. Every second's count. So they're definitely a big customer. Again, comparing Vancouver and Sochi, again, the parents were big customers. The athletes were a big customer because we provided a converged IPTV service for these folks to be able to surf 36 HD channels, which in Vancouver we didn't do. So Vancouver, I'd say the media, of course, the committee to
So by media, it's not the networks that are covering it, it's the press that are covering in Vancouver was big.
Yeah, exactly. The press, and again, the media work totally differently through the Wire network. And in Sochi, again, the press, the media, but the broadcast TV also, because we wanted to prove that our technology could run an IPTV network.
So what you're saying is that the big constituents in Vancouver were giving best effort services, and it was largely press and visitors and athletes. And then when you came to Sochi, you added in the broadcast TV networks?
We added the IPTV capabilities. We added the Wi-Fi service as a service, as opposed to a best effort.
Right.
If it works, all good. We had to support the media right over a Wi-Fi infrastructure as opposed to a wired infrastructure.
Yeah.
And of course, the parents, the athletes walked in with 2 or 3 mobile devices each. So we had to support that too, and we had never seen them, right, which is also key.
How big a customer was the games themselves in terms of data traffic? I mean, is that a small amount of data sending scores and updates and management, or is it also big?
The traffic, the bandwidth itself, I wouldn't say would score records high, right? It's the small bursts, right? So interestingly enough, when you look at and compare this to some of the enterprises, a lot of people are worried about building 100 gig infrastructure and 40 gig infrastructure. We built the entire Olympics network, and we were nowhere near capacity with 10 gig ports. There's a full mesh Ethernet fabric, matrix architecture that ran the entire Olympics, and we were, again, nowhere near capacity because of the multiple paths that we were using.
So it's in one of the biggest shifts. Well, first, it's all IP. You went to a meshed out network, and you abandoned some of the legacy structures. And that allowed the TV networks to have faith in this system and actually send their traffic over IP versus over dedicated lines.
Yeah, in Vancouver we tried hard.
Yeah.
And again, for the folks that are a bit more technical, in Vancouver we were stuck with PIM, with interdependency of other protocols, OSPF and the rest, right? In Sochi, we use our native fabric technology, so we eliminated the need and the interdependency of PIM, OSPF. So we had a single protocol providing layer 2, layer 3 unicast and multicast services. And because of the reliability that we're able to show and demonstrate and recover in 500 milliseconds instead of 25 and 45 seconds, they were then confident to run an IPTV service over the same physical infrastructure.
You told me that changed some things too, like how does it, on-camera edits and things like that, how does it change when the broadcast company can rely on IP infrastructure? What do they do differently afterwards?
So afterwards, the TV broadcasters, typically don't like to trust an IP transport, right? So they like to have their own physical.
People see the wire, right?
Exactly, they like to see the wire. So there's still some work to be done to convince the entire community to go towards a converged IP-based infrastructure. But I think we've made some tremendous progress with that end.
Like, what are the benefits? Cost savings, flexibility? What do you get when you go to sharing one IP wire over every network running a wireless?
Yeah, the ability to converge multiple services over the same physical infrastructure. So from a CapEx point of view, it's huge. And I think that we also need to take care of the OpEx, right? So if you increase the operational complexity moving to an IP network, these guys will shut it down. So we have to accomplish both.
Do you consider this then therefore to be a software-defined network? Is this kind of one of the aspects of what it is? Or is it something different?
Yeah, no, it's again a good point. When you look at what SDN promises to solve, right? There's if you look at the early phases, it was all about solving the control plane challenges, right? So the data plane was okay with scaling, you saw the internet, but the control plane was causing people this interdependency in this fragile house of cards. And that's what SDN promises to solve to some extent. So make it easier to deploy services and application. The Sochi Olympics was really an SDN 1.0 ready, as they would call it, because were able to eliminate a lot of these legacy protocols. So we solved the control plane issues at the Sochi Olympics.
You know what's so cool about the opportunity you had there and winning that job is, I mean, imagine telcos if you had the opportunity every 4 years to say, forget everything we've done before. What can we do if we started today? And of course, everybody would do things radically differently if they were launching as of today. But normally we can't. You've got this unique opportunity to say we need a massive network that covers an entire town, and we can start with today's technology. We have no legacies holding us back. What can we do today? So there's a pretty good possibility that in 4 years, it's going to look different again.
Absolutely.
What do you think what might happen in 4 years if you do 3 years now if you run it again?
Hard to tell, but I do believe that video is going to go to a new level. Rather than snapshots and pictures being sent, I think it's going to be live feeds that are going to come from mobile devices. The security play is going to continue to be huge. So I think it's hard to predict. 4 years from now, the market changes so fast, but we definitely see video and more mobile, high definition type devices.
Do you go IPv6 in the next iteration, or what are the changes about it?
Within the Olympic itself, you don't need to. Right? Definitely an opportunity to go and prove that the technology is ready for prime time. But I think there's still a step where we can continue to expand simplicity and operational complexity being reduced substantially.
You mentioned the security just a moment ago, so I think that's a pretty interesting thing. Obviously, it's more and more important as we see more and more massive breaches of security. What kind of, we're talking about a network company running their own cable, they also have a certain element of expectation of security because they physically block people off from the cable. What did you have to do to offer security on the network you built in Sochi?
So what we did for, of course, BYOD was big, as we mentioned earlier, and mobile devices exploded. So what we did with this matrix fabric technology, every parents, athletes, organizing committee members, whatever. So they were giving some authentication capabilities. And what we did is, as you connected physically to the network, wired or wireless, the fabric technology expanded, to provide you the services.
Yeah.
And as soon as you disconnected, retracted. So there was no way for anyone to spoof, snoop, or do anything to really basically simulate, someone from the broadcast TV to go and get the recordings or anything like that. So that added another component of security. And of course, we work with some other vendors to provide other security services to complement what we had within our own portfolio.
All right, I'm gonna give the opportunity for the audience to get the next question wrong. So I have the luxury of having spoken with JT earlier. I know the answer to this question. How many of you? I'll give you guys 3 choices of how many staff you think Avaya had on hand in Sochi to run the network. How many think it was 100 to 150? I'll go down from here. So 150 to 100 people. Okay, how many think it was between 100 and 50 people? Pretty good number. Between 50 and 25. All right. And how many was it?
3.
3 people. How do you run a mass operation like that with? I mean, how many staff did you actually have in Sochi?
So we had 12 folks.
Yeah.
So basically, we had 3 8-hour shifts that we were going through. So do the math. That's 9 people, and 3 others were there in case someone who got sick. So we were just doing the rotation. That's all we need.
Were they actually doing stuff and like I said, they were just looking at the control center monitoring screens?
The good news again, no severity 1, no severity 2.
Yeah.
I know what the Olympics gave us, because we kind of pushed the envelope again, but they gave us the time to do a lot of analysis, right? So the ability to look at how the network is behaving, how BYOD was handled, the mobility of users, and how RF was basically cooperating or not cooperating with the Wi-Fi network. So a lot of analysis, and unfortunately for a lot of folks, they saw a lot of events.
So one of the things I've seen on back to my YouTube habit, but they got great videos, especially running up to Sochi. Every Olympics there's will they be ready? Is it such a disaster? And then often they tend to World Cup soccer, same thing, and they tend to pull it off somehow. But the big video was circulating. The trend was look at what happens to Olympic infrastructure after the Olympics. The ski jumps just sit there and decay. So that makes me curious about, you guys built a pretty massive network. What do you leave behind and what happens to it?
Yeah, so anything that is fixed, so all the stadiums, all of the fixed buildings, the infrastructure remains in place, continues to be ran by some of the local folks down there. Where we have temporary offices or locations, all this stuff got pulled out. Some redistributed through some of the telcos that were partners at the event. But all the hospitality, all the new hotels, all this stuff continue to run our technology, and they're trying to bring Formula One is booked to be there right in Sochi. Again, it's probably not a destination that people think about going into in February, right? So if you talk to your spouse and say we're going on holidays and we're going to Russia in the middle of February, she or he will probably look at you kind of funny. But the weather is absolutely beautiful there, and it's quite a beautiful area. They invested so much in the infrastructure; it's crazy. Really good place.
Obviously, recent developments since the Olympics have probably done more to deter tourism there than actually the Olympics themselves. It seems like ironic after that great effort to kind of turn people off of the idea of visiting promptly thereafter. Final question for you, though. So what do you offer, based on this learnings in these technologies, what are you offering to carriers?
So what we're seeing is, we were able to prove that the technology can scale. So now we are seeing some of the service providers that are desperately looking for an alternative to MPLS and some of the investment they've made over the last 10 years. That's not a position that we were into probably 3 years ago. So now we really have the ability to either complement, right, an existing MPLS infrastructure, or really, as you said so well, in a greenfield environment, completely replace it, because we now have the ability through our technology to replace and offer layer 2, layer 3 unicast, multicast services, and have the ease of deploying and configuring those services.
So video is one of the things you're talking about. Sochi, is that kind of is IPTV kind of tip of the spear for you?
Yeah, so right now we're having tremendous amount of success with video surveillance, scaling in any of the airports, large hospitality, casinos, healthcare, government departments. IPTV, we're really winning a lot of large deals globally in various places that are testing the technology. So video is definitely driving because of the foundation that we've put in regards to reliability and scalability.
Great. Well, thanks, Toby. Did you get to go to Sochi yourself?
I did. I spent 7 beautiful days. Interestingly enough, as I said, the weather was really nice. I even had the chance to put shorts in Russia in February, which is kind of amazing.
It's not what we think of. I guess we think of Russia in February. So you were not. It doesn't sound like you were actively plugging in Ethernet cables and running around in any kind of immersion sense. You were.
No, we were. For us, it was a good IT showcase. So we brought customers, partners, and to see the technology in action. So we gave them tours of the knock centers and see those 3 guys in action.
So forget the bobsled. For you, Sochi was a technology roadshow.
It was a technology roadshow, but we did have the chance to go see some events. It was a really good week.
Excellent. Well, JT, thank you very much for speaking with us, and congratulations on the Olympics.
Okay, thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
Cheers.